Peppa Pig is quietly hiding at least 6 missing relatives spread across 4 completely different families, and none of them are George or Susie or anyone a video like this has already picked apart. This time, the gaps are tucked into a friend group that's been on screen since Series 1, and somehow still has almost no family tree, into a boy who's apparently never had a mother in his entire on-screen life, and into 2 grown women who look exactly alike and have quietly been running half the jobs in Peppa Town without anyone stopping to ask the obvious question. 6 missing relatives, 4 families. And once you line them up side by side and freeze the frame on the right background characters, Peppa Town starts to look a lot more crowded than anyone's ever given it credit for. Start with Candy Cat, because her situation is stranger than it has any right to be for a character this old. Candy's been part of Peppa's playgroup since the very first series, back when the group was small enough to count on one hand, and she's stayed in the background ever since, quietly turning up at parties, at the pool, on school trips, always somewhere in the crowd, even in episodes where she isn't given a single line. Her parents are locked in. Her mom works as a graphic designer in the same office building as Daddy Pig. Her dad runs a little cafe the show has shown more than once. But go looking for a brother or a sister and you come up completely empty. Not a mention. Not a cot in the background of her flat. Not a name dropped at a single birthday party in over 2 decades of episodes. The show's own wiki basically throws its hands up on this one, stating outright that it's unknown whether Candy has any other family members at all, because none have ever been mentioned or shown. Except freeze the frame on one of those big party scenes, the kind with dozens of background characters crammed into a single wide shot, and there's a small orange cat sitting near the snack table who isn't Candy. Wrong height, wrong outfit, same face shape, gone the moment the camera moves on and never mentioned again. Nobody introduces her. Nobody explains why an unnamed orange kitten would be hanging around a party full of Candy's own friend group. Fans who spotted her have already given her a name, Willow Cat, and once you know to look for Willow, she's oddly easy to catch a second time, in a completely different episode, still unexplained, still without a single line. Compare that to Zoe Zebra, who spent years as a solo playgroup kid before the show suddenly handed her twin baby sisters out of nowhere, and it's clear this isn't a show that's shy about adding siblings whenever it feels like it. If Zoe went from only child to big sister overnight, there's no obvious reason Candy isn't sitting on the exact same kind of reveal. So is Willow just a recycled background model the animators reused to save time? Or has Candy Cat had a little sister hiding in plain sight since practically the beginning of the show? If Candy's missing a sibling, Freddy Fox might be missing an entire parent, and that's honestly the stranger mystery of the two. Freddy's the show-off of the group, always trying to one-up Peppa.
My dad sells rocks in packs of 5.
Yes, thank you, Freddy.
You don't need to go to the moon to get them.
Always first to volunteer for anything competitive, and he's been popping up since the early series without much fuss made about him either way.
All thanks to my nose.
It's a super nose!
Yes, it is.
Here's the part that doesn't add up. Every other playgroup kid eventually gets a full house, a mom and a dad both named and both shown doing something around town. Freddy only ever gets one. His father, known simply as Mr. Fox, runs a shop and turns up often enough to be a proper supporting character in his own right. His mother has never been named, never been drawn, never been mentioned in passing, not even once, across more than 20 years of episodes. Now freeze the frame on the market scene from one of the town-wide episodes, the ones that pack half of Peppa Town onto a single street. Tucked between 2 adult characters is a small fox cub in an orange dress, trailing an adult fox who isn't Mr. Fox at all. She's on screen for less than 2 seconds. She's never named, never explained, and she never appears again for the rest of the episode. Fans who caught her gave her a name anyway, Ruby Fox, and the theory practically writes itself once you notice the timing. If Freddy's mom really has been missing this entire time, a second fox kid trailing an unfamiliar adult fox through a crowd scene is exactly the kind of detail a show would leave in by accident. What makes it stick out even more is how confident Freddy always seems for a kid who supposedly has nobody at home but his dad, carrying the swagger of a middle child used to competing with someone closer to his own age. That's not proof of anything, but it's exactly the kind of small detail these theories tend to hang on. So, did the show just never get around to drawing Freddy's mother? Or did Peppa Town already show us Ruby Fox? trailing an unnamed parent through a crowd and count on nobody rewinding the tape? Then there's Molly Mole, whose situation is a little different because at least both her parents exist properly on screen, named and voiced and everything. It's her living arrangement that raises the real question. Molly's family lives underground, quite literally in a network of tunnels, dug beneath the very same hill where Rebecca Rabbit's enormous burrow sits. And Rebecca's family, as anyone who spent real time in Peppa Town already knows, is the single biggest family on the entire show, stacked 2, 3, now 4 kids deep, with new arrivals showing up practically every series. So picture the geography for a second. One hill, one stretch of tunnels running underneath it. On one side, a rabbit family that just keeps expanding. On the other, a mole family the show insists is only ever Molly, her mum, and her dad, and nothing more than that.
My new neighbour. But where do you live, Molly? We've moved in underneath Rebecca's house.
Freeze the frame during one of the digging episodes and count the tunnel entrances the show actually draws into that hillside, because there are more of them than 3 moles could plausibly need, several branching off in directions the story never bothers to follow. Fans poking around that hillside have nicknamed the theoretical extra mole Marlowe, on the logic that any family digging a tunnel system this elaborate for 3 people is either wildly overbuilt or quietly leaving room for somebody the show hasn't introduced yet. Add in the fact that Molly herself is one of the more confident diggers of any child in Peppa Town, comfortable enough underground to lead her friends through tunnels she clearly knows by heart, and it starts to look less like the instinct of an only child and more like habits picked up from sharing that space with somebody else. So, is that hillside just an oversized mole hole, or is Marlowe still down there in a tunnel the cameras have simply never followed? Which brings us to the biggest case of the lot, and this one isn't even hidden because most people who've watched Peppa Pig for years never clocked that Miss Rabbit and Mummy Rabbit are the same rabbit shown twice. They're identical twin sisters, both daughters of Grampy Rabbit, both drawn with the exact same face, the same fur, the same everything, to the point where characters inside the show itself keep mixing them up on screen. Daddy Pig can't tell them apart. Mummy Pig once mistook one for the other entirely, on holiday, in front of everyone. It genuinely takes a whole episode, Miss Rabbit's Day Off, just to confirm out loud that these two aren't one character wearing 2 outfits. They're actually sisters who've apparently been living parallel lives in the same town this entire time. Once that clicks, everything about Miss Rabbit gets stranger by the minute. This is a rabbit holding down what fans have tallied up to somewhere close to 50 separate jobs around Peppa Town, driving the bus, flying the helicopter, running the supermarket, working the ice cream van, all while apparently unmarried and with no children of her own ever confirmed on screen. And then there's the detail almost nobody talks about. In one episode, Miss Rabbit calls Dr. Hamster Mum. Not a slip that gets brushed past in the background, an actual spoken line directed straight at her, Mum. Except Miss Rabbit's father is confirmed elsewhere in the show to be Grampy Rabbit, which means either the writers quietly gave her 2 completely different parents across 2 different episodes and nobody caught it, or Dr. Hamster is connected to this family in some way the show has simply never bothered to explain to anyone watching. And that's before you even reach the last loose thread, because the show has openly left it unclear whether Mummy Rabbit and Miss Rabbit have a brother out there somewhere too. A third child of Grampy Rabbit's who has never once been drawn, never been named, and never shown up to a single family gathering in 20 years. Here's where it gets genuinely fun, because every confirmed child in this family, Rebecca, Richard, Rosie, and Robbie, all share the same first letter, and fans chasing the theoretical 3rd sibling have already picked a name to match the pattern, Ronnie Rabbit, on the logic that Grampy Rabbit would never break his own naming streak. Freeze the frame on any family gathering this show has ever attempted with the rabbits in it, and Ronnie simply isn't there. Not blurred in a doorway, not cropped out of frame, just entirely absent, the way a family member only stays absent if nobody's supposed to bring him up. 2 identical sisters, quietly running half the jobs in town, a mother figure who doesn't line up with the confirmed father, and a possible brother who's never once appeared on screen. For a family the show treats as fully sorted out, that is an enormous amount left completely open. This isn't a family the show is shy about growing either. Rebecca alone has picked up 2 waves of siblings over the years, so a show clearly willing to keep adding rabbits to that tree has left the branch belonging to the parents' own generation far more tangled than anyone seems to have noticed. So is Ronnie Rabbit just fan speculation stretching a naming pattern too far? Or is there really a third rabbit sibling that Peppa Town has been quietly riding around for 20 years? So that's 6 missing relatives tucked into 4 families across Peppa Town. Willow Cat, spotted once and never explained. Ruby Fox, trailing an unfamiliar parent through a crowd scene. Marlowe Mole, possibly living in tunnels built for more than 3. And the 2 threads running straight through the rabbit family, a mother figure who doesn't match the confirmed father, and a brother named Ronnie who fits the family's own naming pattern perfectly and still isn't in it. None of it is confirmed. Some of it is probably nothing more than a kids' show reusing background models to save time. But once you start noticing how many families in Peppa Town share this exact same shape, a missing parent here, a missing sibling there, blank spaces sitting exactly where a family tree ought to be, it stops feeling like a coincidence and starts feeling like a pattern the show has been quietly running the entire time without anyone catching on. Which of these do you think is real, and which one's just an oversized tunnel with nothing behind it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed digging through this one, we've got plenty more Peppa Pig mysteries just like it waiting for you, so go ahead and pick one. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.